Good afternoon, students. Welcome to Unacademy YouTube. Let's wait for everyone to join. Hi, Naira. Very good evening. How are you doing, beta? Hi, Ria. Welcome. Hi, Vaheguru Khalsa. All right, that's so good to see all the lovely, lovely little ones back. Today it's a 2 hours class, by the way. Let me tell you already, if you guys are yet to have lunch or sleep and whatnot. I'm doing great, Naira. Thank you so much, Bida. God bless. This is a class which we are going to have for straight 2 hours. The reason being, you have your final examinations, and of course, I'm going to take one more 2 hours class, which is going to be a special marathon for the entire syllabus to be covered, which is going to be on the 1st of Feb. So now, for now, let's begin the discussion on human behavior in one shot. And before that, let me quickly tell you about myself. My name is Professor Urmi. I welcome you all in this wonderful class with me, and I hope you guys are doing fantastic and have a great, 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 fantastic endeavor with me at Unacademy. If you haven't watched any of my video beforehand and this is the first time, I would request you to go and check it out. Ma'am, when are you going to conduct entrepreneurship class? I am already conducting entrepreneurship class. It's Plus, it's live. If you're asking me on YouTube, February 2nd or 3rd, we have another class, and it's also going to be a 2 hours class. Where I'm going to complete the second chapter and the third chapter. So basically, I've already a second chapter. Sorry, for first chapter is already up on YouTube. Second one would be there, and third one is going on right now. So I'm also going to take a few more classes on special for entrepreneurship. So if you are interested, and Vaheguru Khalsa, please let me know which chapter are you talking about so I can let you know when exactly I'm going to take that chapter. So there's a little bit about me which is already given on your screen if you haven't attended my classes. Now, moving to the next one, why are you supposed to take the Plus subscription? You already know it, but let me just bring to your notice one more time if anybody here is new. Okay, if anybody here wants to know what is the reason behind coming on Plus, see guys, whatever I'm taking on YouTube or whatever I'm taking on special, of course, it's going to help you in some way or the other. But the business arithmetic will be taken in the second week of Feb because third chapter is going on. So after that gets over, then business arithmetic will be taken. All right. So daily practice sections and the doubt clearing sections, which are very very important. And why I say these are important, because these are the chapters you actually need to revise. These are the times when you actually can ask your teachers. On Plus they basically give you special attention, because what happens is the uh, even if it's a limited crowd, you get to ask your query again and again, unless you get a clarity on the same, unless you have your pictures are clear on the same. And that's the reason we have more of live quizzes. We have questions, we have subjective test series which have already up launched there. And this also brings to my second slide, which is basically the iconic plan. Now most of the students are not very comfortable having group studies. Okay, being said that, they are not very happy and they are not very comfortable studying with the other students, is what I'm trying to say. So for these people, we have the iconic subscription plan. And in iconic subscription, what exactly happens is your parents are also aware of what you're studying. We will have a regular connect with your parents. We will give you weekly reports on whatever is happening, whatever we are doing. We will give you all the benefits of Plus, be rest assured. But the only thing here is you will be getting a single hand parent connect, single hand study planner, which your faculty will completely give your parents, and they'll have all the updates about the same. Now, there have been two batches which we have already commenced for the NCRT English batch, which is being taken by Vandana Ma'am for class 11th and Shipra for class 11th. Also, one more for class 12, which is being taken by Minakshi Dhal Ma'am and Shipra Mishra. The batch timings are already given to you. Go ahead and check it out on the Learning app, and you'll get all the details. One recent one, which has just come in from the 25th of January, is for the optional batches. Okay, that's psychology, physical education, entrepreneurship, informatic practices. Then we have computer science and we have Hindi. So all these amazing educators have already commenced. These are the optional batches. As you know, I'm also taking two optional subjects from psychology and entrepreneurship. So mine are basically the night timings, and mine are basically in single batches wise. I take it into four classes when I complete chapters, and that's the reason I always inform you guys that because we do it chapter wise, so it's always better to be on board. Go check out the Learning app, and if you still have any questions, feel free to ask. Like I told you, entrepreneurship, my batch has already commenced. We have finished the second chapter. We are going on the third one right now. Once that gets over, we'll be starting with the fourth one. This is for class 11th. For class 12th also, as you can see, there are some amazing educators who are taking all these subjects. Get on the board, start learning, because these things are very very important, because we have launched these subjects, we have already taken these subjects, and these are actually required, because these are optionals. Okay, and not just humanities, but the commerce or the science students can also join in, because Hindi, informatic practices, entrepreneurship, psychology, physical education, all these things are basically taken by all the three stream students. Okay, now all the students who have their friends in the science stream, please inform them. There are two batches specifically taken out for physics by Manoj Kumar sir and Vinod Kumar sir, and this is the CBSE Class 12 board examination for 2021 batch. Of course, we do not have much time, and this is commenced also from the 25th of Jan. 2 months, full two revision. Thoroughly, you will be prepared for everything. Manoj sir's batch is Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Vinod sir's is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Go ahead, check out the timing, check everything on the Learning app, get on board. Unacademy Ascent. I think this is the most beautiful thing which Unacademy has recently started for the people, where they can actually score really well, they can actually do a fantastic job, and they can actually get scholarship and ace their final examination with proper revision and practice. Now let us begin. This chapter of the process of human development is actually a little tough chapter, because here we are discussing everything in regards to your biological features, along with socio-cultural factors, along with what growth and development is happening in your body and why. Okay, so when we speak about biological and social factors, what exactly do you mean by the biological factors? Okay guys, you can meanwhile keep answering, keep asking questions on the comment section, and I will keep checking it. So do not worry about it, and just keep writing, okay, whatever comes to your mind, and I'm going to take it from there. Okay, is that okay? Now let's begin. Is that okay, guys? Just give me a yes or no if I'm audible and the screen is visible and everything is going fair. Ria, Naira. Biological factors are the changes seen due to hormonal release. Correct? Correct? They are very much the same. Hi, Om. Hello. Welcome to the class. They are very much the same. And they are very, very important because due to the biological factors, your entire process of the tendency of being an adult, reaching into adolescence, turning your body parts, and the changes which you basically see, the development which happens in evolution, all these things are very, very important because it plays a gradual yet a very, very serious role in a type of change which we are discussing right now. Evolution refers to gradual and orderly biological changes that result in a species from their pre existing forms in response to the changing of adaptational demands of their environment. And why am I saying this? What is the reason behind it? See, when we speak about evolution, okay, sociocultural means the role of our society in our behavior. Absolutely, very well. And evolution is when it takes the changes in a different path. We all have changed and we all have evolved with a given amount of time. Sometimes we have taken a lot of time, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so these things are very important. Biological factors influence psychological factors and in turn influence socio-cultural phenomena. Fantastic, Vaheguru Khalsa, fantastic answer, very well put. And this is very important because when we move ahead in our lives, okay, even in the growth spurt or even in the growth development chapter, human development chapter, we have seen right from the infancy to the death, whatever changes happen, all that single amount and element of changes are very important in our growth. The way we think, the way we look after differences, the way we think about certain things, the analysis which we do, okay, and all these things are very important because although these are very small and processed in different stages, but yet they play a very important role. Okay, and they are visible to hundreds and thousands of generations. What do you mean by the biological and cultural roots, and where do they come from? You need to realize that sometimes we speak about genes, sometimes we speak about diseases which can come to us through our parents. Why? Maybe they have that disease, so it's passed on to us, it's transmitted to us. Maybe there's a faulty gene because of what, because of which it has affected, and which comes on us. That faulty gene can be in amongst any of them, any of the parent. Okay, this makes you realize that these kind of faulty genes also makes the students get they have issues which are mental problems, there are psychological issues, they become retarded. Okay, now sometimes I'm not sure if you guys have observed or if you have ever come across such example. Imagine there's a patient, there's the father of a little one is a cancer patient, and the mother has a baby in the womb. Okay, and meanwhile the father goes through some chemotherapies and radiations for a treatment. Because the infancy, that stage, the baby is still inside mother wombs and the mother is tensed with all of that and the radiations and everything. The child, when comes out in the world, comes out and turns out to be mentally retarded. Now that's a symptom which usually happens when the sign of biological and cultural roots can come across through genes, can come across through transmission from one generation to another generation in these forms also. And this is a kind of disease. I remember there was uh, one girl in my apartment where I used to stay. Okay, so she has this issue. She's mentally stable, but she's in class 12th and she behaves like she's in class 5th. So she's just, her memory is being going there. She's not able to develop as per her, as per her biological clock is going on. So that is the significance. And why did it happen? Because when she was when she was in her mother's womb, her father was going through a lot of chemotherapy and radiations, and that's the reason her mother witnessed all of it. She was in a very bad stress, and that's the reason she came out to be mentally retarded. She's not normal, she's basically abnormal. And this is an example where faulty gene plays an important role. Okay, and this happens. Okay, I'm not sure if you guys have ever experienced it. I have seen it. And when I have asked the reason, they told that yes, the doctors gave us this reason, that because of those radiations, this has affected on the girl. Okay, now comes to the most important part, where it is about neurons. Okay, neurons plays the most important and the vital part here, because it is the basic unit of our nervous system. Anything we do, everything we believe in, everything we lies according to us, which is near us, around us, etc., is basically neurons. Neuron is the basic unit of our nervous system, which are basically known as specialized cells. Okay, these are basically used, and these possess a unique property. This plays a very important role, which converts the various forms of stimuli into electrical impulses. Now, electrical impulses also play a major role. Can someone tell me whether without the nervous system our body will be able to function? Yes or no? Anyone? Anyone? Okay, Ria says no. That's agreed. Agreed, Ria, that the answer is no. But why is the answer no is what I'm trying to ask. Helps in control and coordination. Nervous system plays important in control and coordination. These electrical impulses help in transmission of the message from one neuron to other. Exactly. And when we speak about the nervous system, or the importance of nervous system, okay, the most important thing, without nervous system our daily activities are also not going to work anything. It plays the most important role, because nearly every aspect of our health and well-being is dependent on nervous system and the neurons, because it guides our everyday activities such as waking up, in the morning, automatic activities such as breathing, okay, processes of which are very complex such as thinking, okay, something which is reading, remembering, oh I'm not able to remembering the feelings, emotions. So nervous system controls the brain and growth of the development. Very, very important. Electrical impulses which is transmitted through neurons, while other synapse is important instructions of functioning as a body. Exactly. And this definitely plays an important role, because without nervous system we can't reach there. It cannot be done. Your thought processes will get stuck. Exactly. Correct. Right? Yes. And please remember, whenever I'm trying to say that these are also forms of specialized for reception, conduction and transmission. See, if something happens to me like this, somebody hits me like this, the way I will react here or here is because the reaction will come when something is being hit here. So the electrochemical signals, like Ria and Vaheguru, both of you guys have quoted, it is very important because you can sense it, because you can react it like that, right? They receive the information from sense organs or from the adjacent neurons, carry them to a central nervous system, brain and spinal cord, and bring their motor information from CNS. Now, very simple. This basically consists of two things, CNS and PNS. I remember so many times I've taught you, but please remember the CNS, before starting with the CNS, that the entire nervous system plays a very, very important role, either in terms of processing information or transmitting it, or forming, your motor organs, or it might be your muscles or your glands. Okay, so the entire body, when you're studying psychology, just to this for the functioning of your mind, okay, your brain needs to be functioning properly. For your brain and mind needs to go hand in hand. So please remember, there's a difference between a brain and mind. What is a nerve impulse? Very simple, that the information which travels within the nervous system in the form of a nerve impulse. Now, why is it important? Because there are some process of dendrite, nucleus, cell body, axon. Okay, these are the features which are involved with these things, which play an important potential role in terms of joining the sudden positions, changing it, and probably reacting in the same way. Okay, so stimulus is the kind of energy which comes here into contact with the receptors, electrical changes in the nerve which have a potential start, and then nerve potential, which is a sudden change in the electrical potential of the surface of the neuron. Please remember, guys, always that these three things or these two things are very, very interwoven with each other. Either of them is missing, the process doesn't get completed. And now the main catch, nearly one nearly 2 billion neurons are found in the human nervous system. Please remember, this will not just come in your class 11 but also come in class 12 in an objective type questions, also in the UPSC exams, because you guys are doing humanities, because it's a very important segment which you need to know. So nearly 12 billion neurons are found in the human nervous system. They are of many types and vary considerably in shape, size, chemical composition and functions. Any questions and doubts still here, guys? I'm planning to do BA, LLB, honors, and then MBA or MPP. That's a great thing, yeah. Why, Guru? I love the combination. BA, LLB, honors is great, and after that, MBA is also a great choice. Naira says no, ma'am. Okay, all right, Ria. Superb. So that's a great thing. Where are you planning to do it from? I'm glad that you guys have planned like this. So, but wherever you guys try to do it, remember that the cutoffs nowadays is really huge. And when you get on class 12th, that is the time when, okay, BA, LLB honors, I aspire to do from NLU Bangalore. Fantastic. an MBA and MPP, a dual degree from Harvard. These are my dream colleges. That's amazing. I hope you crack it there. My mom also preparing for the CLAT exam. Oh, lovely, yeah, guys, amazing. But I'm sure you guys need to know that the cutoffs are really, really high, and you guys have to struggle and rock it there. That's the most important part. Okay, for BLLB honors. Lovely. Great. Okay, chalo, let's get back on the track now. Now, the most important thing, the catch, that please remember that these are the nearly 12 billion neurons which are found, and that's an object. That's the main catch out here. They can just give you a 2 marks objective, or they might just give you a question and answer. There's a fill in the blanks, which is very, very important. Okay, please remember the differences. Okay, despite the differences here, they share in common three fundamental components, that's soma, dendrites and axon. Now there will be a diagram in which, if you explain this, it will be better. So I would suggest you that learn the diagram pretty well, because otherwise it will be a tough call for you guys. Okay, next is the human nervous system is basically again a major part and parcel, which is very complex. Whatever we have in our body, whatever way we think, whatever way we process certain things, are very, very tough. So human nervous system is the most complex and most developed of all living creatures. Though the nervous system functions as a whole, for the ease of study, we can divide it into many parts upon depending on the location and the functions. Now, like you see the diagram which I have shown you, in the entire figure, if dendrites are missing, it's not going to play the same role which is going to play with the dendrites as a part and parcel, because these are the components which make the shape, size, composition stronger, because here everything you're doing is as per your thought process. And despite these differences, you need to understand, already done this in 8 9 10 exactly. This is plain and simple CBSE NCRT biology, where you have learned the entire thing about dendrites, cell bodies, neurons, axons, etc. Moving ahead, the most important part, again coming back, dividing into the locations and functions: CNS, PNS, CNS, PNS, central nervous system, peripheral nervous system. Very, very easy. Please remember it in terms of a diagram. Now, let us begin based on location. What is the first thing? CNS, that's the central nervous system. Second one, peripheral nervous system. The cutoffs are increasing and skyrocketing. Huge. Where in our times, I never thought that it would be like that. But now, I think Khalsa, these times, they are just, it's beyond imagination. 98, 99, 99.7, sometimes even 100, God only knows. Ma'am, you're so inspiring. You're teaching such diverse topics, right from entrepreneurship to psychology to HR at management school, and being a women's forum member and TEDx speaker. Thank you, Guru Khalsa. I am obliged, honored, and my gratitude to you for considering me, that I am able to inspire you. That makes that makes me feel amazing and keeps me going. Thank you so much, so much. Okay, I'm honored. Gratitude, beta. All right, let's move ahead. Two parts: CNS, PNS. Okay, now I think I'm gonna draw this and show you the way my mother had taught me. Although that time I did not remember, because I did not feel like studying all of it. I never knew that in my life there will come a time where again I'll have to study all these things, but it's okay. Nevertheless, let's just show you how it is done. Okay. If you have any questions, please let me know and I'm going to explain you again. All right. So, okay. Yeah. Now, these are the locations which are divided into two parts. Okay. Very easily divided into CNS. Okay. Second one, PNS. Okay. Now, what does the CNS do? CNS is basically the most important thing. Okay. First, remember, the entire part of nervous system is found inside hard bony cases, which is cranium and backbone. Okay. That is basically coming under the CNS. Your cranium, okay, and the backbone. Whereas your brain and spinal cord are the organs, okay, are the organs of this system. So the most important part of the nervous system, other than CNS, is placed in PNS. So please remember central nervous system, correct. Whatever is not present in CNS is present in PNS. Very easiest way to define both of these. Now, PNS can be further classified, okay? PNS can be further classified into somatic and autonomic system, autonomic nervous system, okay? Two things, two parts, CNS, PNS. Now, PNS can be again, distributed and channelized into two parts, that's somatic and autonomic. Okay. Now, what does somatic and autonomic nervous system does? Somatic system is concerned with voluntary actions. Like I told you, somebody is hitting me and I turn. That's a voluntary action, no? The way I will react to certain things. While the autonomic nervous system performs functions on which we have no voluntary control. Thoughts, imaginations, vivid things which are going on in our mind. And all these things are very, very important because this is how you define the structure of CNS, PNS, and the two different and deferred ways of somatic and autonomic nervous system. Is this clear? The slide before we move ahead. ANS is also a part of it. Yeah, we'll come there. We'll come there. Now we've just started. So then we are going to come there, beta. It's clear till here? Fantastic. Alright. Now, let's move ahead. So, CNS, PNS, somatic and autonomic nervous system. Now, the brain and the behavior. Now, this is the most important part where we usually think that our brain and the mind is the same, which is not. Okay. So, remember, after the central nervous system, which we are divided into two parts, that is central nervous system and peripheral nervous system, which is further divided in cranium and backbone, and whatever is not present is CNS leads under the most important part of the peripheral nervous system, that's brain and spinal cord. Next is the PNS, which is distributed into somatic and autonomic nervous system, leads to the most important part, which is the brain and the behavior. Now, again and again, please remember that the brain and the mind are not same. So brain and the way we behave are two different things which play a very major role and a very vital role in our lives. And it is believed that human brain is evolved over million of years. Of course, it is evolved. Earlier, we were not as human as we are today. Although we are still not very human, we are inhuman because we are leading to a life where we don't think before we say things, when we don't think before making an assumption, where we don't think before reacting, and vice versa. Okay, so we can examine the levels of structures in the brain from its earliest to the most recent form in the process of evolution. The limbic system, the brainstem, the cerebellum are the oldest structure, while the cerebral cortex is the latest development in the course of evolution. In the course of evolution, in the course of change. Now, why have you guys? Do you think that we have changed a lot? Can you guys think that your grandparents in the era of 1880s, or let's take 1870s, okay, and today your era where you guys have maybe 1993, 94, okay, has there been a major drastic change in the thought process of people and the way they look at things and the way they look at life? What do you think? Our younger siblings are more advanced than us. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think my daughter knows more functions of the phone than me. And maybe that's the time because we are changing. Every single thing here is into advancement, where we are leading to a place and time when it is all about technology and the boom in the technology. And that is also known as development, because growth and development together brings out the maturity and brings out the best form of evolution, which is the requirement and need of the hour. And why? Because it's about the change ultimately. Yes, we have changed. Yes, ma'am. Great. Now let's move to the next point. An adult brain weighs about 1.36 kgs, which contains 100 billion neurons. Now, I'm glad that it only contains 1.36. I hope it would have contained 10, 15 kgs. We all would have lost a lot of weight. But nevertheless, we can't really do anything about life. So 1.36 kg is basically our brain weight. Now, people also have come across time where they have gone to different railway stations or some museums and they have a weight making machine and they actually tried. So one of my students actually told, ma'am, mine is 1.45. I said, how do you know? He said, when ma'am, I went to the museum, I tried doing it. I said, fantastic. I'm glad that you at least went and weigh your brain, nothing else. So, this has been the most amazing thing about the brain, and not its number of neurons, but its ability to guide the human behavior and thought. Because whatever you process, your thinking, the way the way you project things, the way you assume things, the way you channelize things, every single segmentation is done through your brain. Every single thing is done through the way your thoughts are, the way your neurons are revolving around. And that leads to the most important part, which is connecting again the next part of our body, that's the endocrine system. So before we start, the endocrine system is the brain and behavior. Clear, guys? Any questions or doubts still here? The brain and behavior. It's a 2-hour marathon. You guys are please feel free to ask any questions. We're revising. Clear? Okay, no doubts. Let's move ahead now. Moving to the next one is the endocrine system. Okay, now what does the endocrine system do? Okay, thoughts, brains connects the rest of the part of our body. Okay, now let's begin. Endocrine glands play a very crucial role in our development and behavior. See, guys, every single thing, whatever we have studied here in the basis of the human behavior, is about our behavior and development or the growth. Point number one, they secrete specific chemical substances which are called hormones, which control some of our behaviors. Okay, now have you noticed that when we go through our periods or when we have hormonal changes, it affects our mood? For girls, it's there. For boys, when there's a puberty struck, when their hormones are changing, when their body is moving and making changes, they also come across a place where they have, a lot of mood swings. They have come across bad, tough times. Sometimes it's the time where they are seeing the changes in their body. Have you actually noticed it, girls and boys? That your hormones playing a major important role in terms of the change in your behavior. This leads to me to explain you. Yes, ma'am. Okay, this makes me takes me to explain you that these glands are also called the ductless glands or endocrine glands because they do not have any duct. Okay, so if you can see this, the entire concept of major endocrine glands between the male, this basically side of the left is basically the male side, and this one is basically the female side, where they have made the differences. Ovary, and here it is a testes. Okay, now these are the changes in our body as a human which play a very important role because it shows the type of severity it brings in your mood, hormone, and balance, disbalance, the same thing at the same time, which is a major part of our body. So the endocrine gland form the endocrine system of the body. Now this system works in conjunction with the different parts of the nervous system, and the whole system is thus known as a neuroendocrine system. Please remember, hormones, glands, has a lot to do with your, see, have you heard about thyroid glands? They usually say whenever you are, gaining a lot of weight, when you're becoming a lot of fat, they say please get your thyroid test done. Why thyroid test? Because thyroid is basically a kind of gland. Okay, so whenever you have any problems with your thyroid glands, they always say that okay, that's the reason maybe your weight is going up or your weight is going down. Although this has never happened with us, this always goes up. So fortunate are those people who have lost their weight due to thyroid. Jokes apart, but thyroid apparently has one of the glands which basically needs to be tested when yeah, yes ma'am, thyroid, yes, when you have a lot of issues with your weight going up and down. These are very important because this also takes us to the next one, to focus that this gland is located in the neck. Okay, it's here. I showed you in the picture. Can you just see the picture once again? This is the thyroid gland. Okay, let me just erase it for you so that you can uh, so this is the thyroid gland. One second, pen and thyroid gland here. Okay, now moving to the next one. Thyroid gland, basically it produces thyroxine that influences the body's metabolic rate, which is very important because here the optimum amount of thyroxine is secreted and regulated by an anterior pituitary hormone. Okay, now the thyroid stimulating hormone, that is also known as TSH. Again, this abbreviation needs to be learned because they can ask you in an objective. Okay, so the steady secretion of this hormone maintains the production of energy, consumption of oxygen, and elimination of the waste in the body cells. So, on the other hand, underproduction of thyroxine leads to physical and psychological lethargy. I was just telling you about this, that it affects you physically and psychologically, which is very, very important and crucial because people usually feel a lot of fatigue when there's a lot of thyroid. They feel that they're tired, they're not able to do things, they're really very lethargic, they don't know what to be done, etc., etc. And that is when we are speaking about fatigue in a thyroid gland. Okay, that's very important. So physically and psychologically, thyroid gland plays a very important role. Also, this is about the humans, but in if it is removed in the young animals, their growth is stunted and they fail to develop sexually. For example, dogs, whenever they have a lot of issue, the doctors suggest that it's better that your thyroid gland is removed, and because the gland will be removed, so their sexual desires and their sexual stunts will automatically not be able to develop because thyroid gland plays a severe vital role here. Let's move to the next one. That's an adrenal gland. Now, what exactly is the adrenal gland? Now, this is located above the kidney. Let's see this. This is the adrenal gland. Can you see this? Is it clear, guys? Any questions or doubts till here? Once again, I'm telling you, नहीं समझ रहा है फिर से पूछो, मैं फिर से समझाऊंगी. Make sure it's a पैसा वसूल class, 2 hours class. आराम से पढ़ो, रॉक करके पढ़ो. For anybody who's going to watch it later on also, please comment on the section box. I will take it again. Your exams are coming near. Don't take 11th standard as a rest here because it's the base class, okay? Naira, Ria, Vaiguru, all my lovely, lovely babies, please ask if you have any questions. All right, then let's move ahead. Moving to the adrenal gland. Now, this is basically located above each kidney. It has two parts, okay, the cortex and the medulla. these are basically secreting different hormones. Again, this is also the entire gameplay of the hormones here, which play a very important role. And the secretion of adrenal cortex is controlled and regulated by adrenocorticotropic hormone, which is also known as the ACTH. Please remember the abbreviations. Hello, Kushi. How are you? Good evening. Welcome to the class, beta. How are you, Kushi? Good evening. Where are you? Where were you? Why aren't you attending the classes every day? All right. Okay. So this basically is the ACTH, which plays a very important role, because here every single thing is basically secreted by the anterior pituitary gland. When this secretion of adrenal cortex goes down, the anterior pituitary gets the message and it increases the secretion, which actually stimulates the cortex to secrete more hormones. Basically, it tries to secrete, means it tries to pull on the more of it. Okay, it's kind of more. Now I'll come regularly. All right, beta, fantastic. So Kushi, next class we have on 1st of Feb, again on YouTube, a 2 hours marathon. The whole syllabus draft I'm going to take as a drill, because everybody has a final exam. And then on Plus, again, we're going to start with sensory, attentional and perception class. Yesterday only we finished the human development, so go and check the recorded sessions. Hello Akash, how are you? Good evening, welcome to the class. Welcome, Akash. Okay. Next is the adrenal cortex, which secretes a group of hormones which are also called as the corticoids. Now, these are used and utilized by the body, okay, for a number of physiological purposes. Why physiological purposes? Your way of teaching is awesome, ma'am. That's why I have no questions to ask. Thank you so much. God bless you. Okay. So please remember, the adrenal cortex secretes a group of hormones. These are basically known as corticoids. Okay. Good evening, Shreya. How are you? Hello, hello. All right. This basically is utilized by the body for a number of physiological purposes. For example, the regulation of the minerals in the body. See, many people, I'm not sure how many of you know this. Some people are allergic to some kind of fruits. I'll tell you why. Okay. Because these fruits have something, these citric acids, which are not suitable to our body types, because this is the kind of what do you call, acids which we are trying to speak here about, which actually functions, which actually is different in different body types, and which really plays a very important role, because every single body is different, and the way they function seriously affects the function of the nervous system. And our entire study here is based on the nervous system. Okay, so adrenal medulla secretes two hormones. Now let's bring it into focus again. Two hormones. First is epinephrine, and next is norepinephrine, which is also known as androline and noandroline. Very simple. Please remember, two words, two regions, two meanings, and two definitions of the same. So sympathetic, activation, such as increasing of the heart rate. Suddenly you feel that, okay, no, something is not really doing good. You feel restlessness. Okay, that happens when you have an increased heart rate. Okay, the oxygen consumption that goes down. Yes, Vaheguru, absolutely. Ma'am, thank you so much that you're revising this chapter. I always think this chapter is very difficult. This chapter is not difficult. The words are actually, tough to remember. So that's the reason I'm taking this chapter, and I'm taking a 2-hour session, because every student is facing this problem only. Okay, that they remember the chapter, they remember the term, but they are not able to understand how to, revise. Sorry, how to revise. That's the reason I've taken it. Do not worry. You have any questions, please ask, beta. Okay, let me erase this kachra, or you guys will get confused. But I'm highlighting and studying and teaching you like this, because this is for your revision. Okay, one-shot revision. So any questions and any doubts, feel free and go and watch the special classes. They are absolutely free. और वहाँ पे सारी चीजें मैंने already दी हुई है. So all the notes are also given. Okay. Let's move ahead. White color pen. No, let's take a red pen only, because that was easy to understand. Pen color. Right. Okay. Let's move to the next one now. Guru, I hope you have understood. Yes, the citric acid which I'm talking about is usually very, very different in every other person's body and it reacts in different ways. Okay. Now, moving to the next one, secretion of the hormones, which is epiphrine and noepiphrine, which stimulates the hypothalamus. Now, don't feel that, oh ma'am, we are studying psychology, हम लोग क्यों science में पहुंच गए, हमें biology नहीं पढ़ना था. These things are just interconnected and interwoven because your CNS, your PNS is connected with the nervous system, which is the most important base for your brain. And brain is important to function. And only then, when your brain works, your thought process are being developed, and you can think normally, abnormally, be a normal person, be an abnormal person, and vice versa. So you need to know that this is the reason why we basically think, why we basically revert back, why we basically acknowledge our emotions, our joys, our sorrows, our sadness, our anger, our ego, because the brain needs to function in a proper way. For that, your thought process and your minds, which is the entire cognition of whatever our chapter's goal is, needs to be properly working. This takes me to the next part, which is the pancreas. Okay, here are the pancreas. So there's a drawing which I have already given. Ma'am, in exam, is it important the brain diagram? See, Shreya, I will not suggest that it is. I will not say that you exactly do the way which NCRT has shown you. You can probably take one from Google, whichever you find is very easy, and you can just write it in this way. Similarly, see, whatever I have made, you can draw the same module just in a function like this. Okay, that this is your pituitary gland, this is the thyroid gland, okay, this is the adrenal gland, and if you are able to do it properly, Shreya, then for you it is going to be easy. 6 marks question exactly it will come, and this is an important part, beta. Definitely this will come, Shreya. I have allergy from sunshine dhoop. Okay, that's nice. Oh, you have allergy from the sunshine dhoop. Many people have allergies from different things, yeah. All right, let's move to the pancreas now. Pancreas basically are living near the stomach, which has a primary role in digestion of food, but it also secretes a hormone which is known as insulin. Please remember, many people have a lot of diseases nowadays which is known as sugar or which is known as diabetes. If you have heard of it, okay, sugar and diabetes, both of them, ma'am, like all the diagrams are important of this chapter. Yes, Shreya, the diagrams are important of this chapter. I will not say that it is not important, because it is important, beta. And the best part and the worst part, both, whatever you feel, Shreya, you can take it like that. Class 12th also has these kind of continuation in their chapter, where all these psychological disorders which they are distributed and they are discussing will come across from these major portions, where you have to define things in a more broad perspective. In my school, they asked a neuron diagram with brain structure functioning, 6 marks. They will actually ask this diagram. They will. Let's move ahead now. Is it clear till here, guys? Any questions, any doubts? Oh, ma'am, can you please make a video on new 2021 pattern of psychology? Shreya, I will do that better. Many students have requested me to do that. I will do it and I will post it in the first week of Feb only. I'll do that. I'll post it for you on YouTube only for you guys, so you guys can check that out. Okay? Let's move ahead now. Okay. All right. Fantastic. Now let's just move ahead. अब आते हैं हम इस चीज पे that insulin basically helps the liver, because ma'am, my exams are going to start from 17th Feb. It will be done before that, Shreya. I promise. Don't worry. Okay. All right. Let's move ahead now, guys. Don't worry. I'm there. Whenever you have problems, I have been there, done that. Even in my age, it was a very difficult thing for me. I was not able to learn all these things. My mother has played a very important role, because she's also explained me every single thing here with diagrams, with proper explanation, with that patience level which she had. Apparently that may be the reason that now I know these things when I read it once and I can just get back on it. Not just the experience, but yes, these facts, we have to know it, guys. Okay, because this is our human body, this is how we are functioning. So if we don't know about it, it's going to be really a tough call. So please, please, please remember, uh, yeah, so that is the reason we need to go through it, and we have to do it in a proper way. All right. ओके मैम, यस मैम, थैंक यू मैम. चलो, लेट्स नॉट वेस्ट टाइम नाउ. अभी 1 घंटा और पढ़ना है. इट्स अ 2 hours क्लास मैराथन ओनली फॉर you guys exclusively, because you guys have your exams. So pay attention. Let's move to the point. Insulin basically helps the liver to break down glucose by the use for the use by the body, out for the storage as glycogen by the liver. Now, when insulin is not secreted in proper amount, people basically get into the disease which is known as diabetes or sugar. Okay, this basically results into a diabetic mellitus, which is also called as diabetes or sugar, which we have seen in many people. They have a lot of issue here, because they get into this phase where diabetes, that's the reason, usually people say that it is not just the age where you can get into diabetes. You can also have it at a very young age. Sometimes even the babies who are just 2 years or 3 years, or sometimes even months, the infants basically have this problem, because it's a medical thing. It's not just in regards to your age, but this can happen at any single time, any time. Okay, next is basically the gonads. Gonads refers to the test. All right, okay, I hope that now there's no lag. Let's move now. Okay, so the hormonal system for the reproductive behavior is much more simpler in the male, because there's no cyclic pattern. Okay, now in girls there is a cyclic pattern. We just discussed about the periods, but in the men there is no cyclic pattern. You need to know this. Okay, and that's the reason testes in males produce sperm continuously and secrete male sex hormones, which are also called as the androgens. So the men and the women both have this difference. No lag, all clear, all right, no problem. Fantastic. Okay, so this is the main reason why we are yes, exactly, gonads, correct. Okay, so once the gonads I told beta, now we are on the hormonal system or the reproductive system for the boys. Okay, so this is the place where the testosterone prompts the secondary sexual actions and the changes of physical changes, growth on body parts. Boys come across this because body hairs are changing, there's a deepening of voice, the way you think, the way you basically react. Okay, all these things are increasing your sexual orientation or desires. Now this is the increased aggression and other behaviors which are also linked with the testosterone production. Okay, now one by one your things are moving up because you are talking about uh, inbuilt human development, which is different in men, which is different in women, but plays a very important role. Now comes the next part, which is very very important for us. That is heredity, which is genes and behavior. Now, what do you mean by the term heredity, students? Can someone tell me what do you mean by heredity? By heredity, what do you mean by heredity, guys? The process by which physical or mental qualities pass from child parent to child. Very good, Shreya. What what we inherit from our pre-existing generation. Very good. Periods are periodic functions, so it's complex. Yes, of course. Ma'am, it's lagging. Adam's apple. Is it lagging now? I don't see a lag, but in YouTube, how can it lag? Physical or mental qualities part from children, parent to children. I got it. I got it, Shreya. I got your message thrice bitter. Heredity. Yes, exactly. Transmission of characters from one generation to another. No, ma'am, now it's okay. All right, chalo. I'm glad now it's okay. Koi baat nahi. Fantastic. Let's move ahead now. So we actually inherit characteristics from our parents, okay, in form of the genes. Now, it is not necessary that we will basically, ma'am, can you start? You can find. Okay, I've started. So I'm starting from here, genes and behavior only. Okay, point number one, whatever we are inheriting from our parents, that transmission is very very important because these are the characteristics, okay, which are transmitted from them to us. For example, our height. Only if our parents have a good height, we might just get a height. Okay, if our parents have what we call they are intelligent, we might have intelligence. Okay, so this basically inheritance provides a distinct biological blueprint and timetable for an individual's development. Now, what do you mean by timetable for individual development by here? Can you tell me? What is here meant by a timetable for an individual's development? It is about a time phase. Okay, it is about a physical. Ma'am, okay, I'll repeat. I said that this inheritance provides a distinct biological blueprint and timetable for an individual's development. What do you mean by a timetable for an individual's development here is what I'm trying to ask. You are inheriting the genes from your parents. Sometimes you have the qualities, sometimes you don't have it, sometimes you get it from your ancestors. Now, for example, my hair, okay, I do not have any of my parents' hair, but my hair is basically like my grandmother, my father's mother. I have that quality. I have that is an inherited gene which I have got from my parental side, which I have got from my father's end. Okay, I have the way I talk, the way I behave is kind of something like my mother does. So that is a quality which I've got genetically from her. Now, this is very important because the study of inheritance of physical and psychological characteristics from ancestors is referred to genetics. Okay, sometimes every individual develops at different pace. Correct. Timetable is like development phase. Correct. For every agenda. Correct. That is what I'm trying to say. And this differs from person to person, life to life, in different ways and different ideas. Okay, how they're developing. So please remember, the child begins life as a single zygote cell, that's mother's ovum, fertilized by father's sperm. And zygote is an as tiny cell with a nucleus in its center containing chromosomes. Okay? Yes, Bhargav. Bhargav, who's Bhargav? Okay, alright, sorry. Okay, containing chromosomes. These chromosomes are all genes inherited from each parent in equal numbers. I'm sure you guys have heard about X and Y. Have you heard about X and Y? We've done this even previously also in Special and Plus. So you guys cannot tell me that no ma'am, we're not aware of the chromosomes. Quickly, right? Yes or no? Chromosomes are basically the hereditary elements of the body. Correct. Okay. Ma'am, like in parental genes, someone having problem of hair loss, it's important one of the child will also have. It's not always the case. But if it is, then it is genetic. Like I told you, for me, my parents, I did not have it like my father or like my mother. I have hair exactly like my grandmother, my father's mom. So maybe I have got that quality in my hair, the volume, the length, the everything. All my buas have that quality. So yeah, not all my buas, or two of them have very thick hair. So maybe I have got this quality from them. My sister has got it from my father. Exactly. The XX and XY. Correct. This is what I'm trying to explain you guys here. Okay. So chromosomes. Exactly. Chromosomes are the hereditary elements of the body. They are like the thread-like paired structures in the nucleus of each cell, and the number of chromosomes per nucleus is distinctive. Please remember, I love my dad. Okay. And is constant for each living organisms. Okay. Now the gametic cells, that's basically sperm and ovum, have 23 chromosomes, but not in pairs. So a new generation will result into the fusion of sperms and an egg cell, and this is what we are trying to speak about, XX and XY here, because the combination is very different. So at the time of conception, the organism inherits 46 chromosomes from the parents, 23 which are from the mother and 23 which are from the father. And each of these chromosomes contains thousands of genes. However, the sperm cell which is coming from the father differs from the egg cell which is of the mother, which is in very important respect, because without any one of them missing, this combination will not be successful. That is the reason the 23rd chromosome of the sperm cell can be either the capital X or Y type of the English alphabet. If X type sperm fertilized with the egg cell, fertilized eggs will have an excess XX to 23rd of chromosome pair, and the child will be a female. So if it's an XX, it's understood it's going to be a female. But if it's an XY, the child will be an male. Okay, there's a huge length process through which these things are being signified and deferred in a right way. But the easiest way to know it, XX is female, XY is male. Is this clear, guys? Any questions and doubts still here? Reductional cell division, meiosis takes place. Yes, that's basically in a different phase, Khalsa. It goes into a lot of advancement. So don't write it right now. Otherwise, then you'll have to explain that process also. So write point to point, which is exactly in NCRT, because I feel if you're writing preferring whatever is given in NCRT, then they will not have any other options of cutting your marks. S phase, G phase, N phase. Correct. Exactly. Yes, beta. Correct. All right, Ria. All right. Okay. All right, Shreya. Fantastic. Now let's move ahead, guys. Please remember the chromosomes are composed mainly of a substance which is called a deoxyribonucleic acid. That's basically known as a DNA. Deoxyribonucleic acid, DNA. They will ask you the abbreviations. They will ask you to define what is a DNA. They might ask you for 2 marks, they might ask you for 4 marks, but you need to know what is a DNA. So basically, our genes are composed chiefly of DNA molecules. The two genes which control the development of each trait are situated at the same locus. Okay, on one of the chromosomes of particular pair, the exception is the sex chromosome and the pair of chromosomes that determines an individual's sex. So DNA plays a major role here because this is the way the two are sex chromosomes, which like Khalsa also told is very, very important, because here you're talking about the exception, okay, and exception of the sex chromosomes. Very, very important. This takes us to the topic which is very, very important in the entire unit after the nervous system, which is basically the genes. So every chromosome stores thousands of genetic commands in forms of genes. Please remember, sometimes we say that, okay, there is nothing like your parents. No, you've not got any genes only of your parents. Sometimes people do not get that transmission. Sometimes they just have quality. Sometimes they do not have features, looks, eyes, or basic things which we actually think of looking at and say, oh, she doesn't look like her parents only. It's not always necessary now that you come out of a chicken, you look like a chicken only. Sometimes people who are not good looking, they'll have amazing kids. So that's also something which is a genetic command. Maybe someone from the family looks good, someone who's absolutely wonderful and has produced a child or produced someone who's not very good with the features. Then it's not it's not a compulsory thing. Genes are functional units of chromosomes which codes the protein and interns or the expresses of the character. Correct. But please remember that you have to write it in points again and again. Khalsa, I'm telling you, any answer which you write, make sure that you discuss and abbreviate them in point wise, because NCRT class 12, the entire paper structure is being told to write in points. So 1 point, 2 point, 3 point, 4 point, and humanities, arts is all about writing. So make sure whatever you write it in point wise, guys. The better the point, the better your score goes. Okay? Very good. So, moving ahead, they contain instructions on the production of specific proteins which regulate the body's physiological processes and the expression of phenotypic traits. What is phenotypic traits here? Offsprings are similar to the parents but not alike. Correct. Absolutely, the entire crux of genes. Very beautifully answered. The observable traits of an organism is basically called as a phenotype. For example, the body which is built, physical strength, intelligence, okay, other kind of behavioral traits which play a major role, the traits which can be passed from one to another offspring through the material which is called as a genotype. This is what we are trying to speak about, the transmission, because again, the entire transmission process is happening here from one to another. And please remember, all biological and psychological characteristics that a modern man possesses are a different genotype and inheritance with phenotypical variations. So here we are, yes, the physical characteristics, the features, the looks, the segments of how things we are divided into different parts. And this is a given gene which exists in several different forms, but the chain of a gene from one to another is basically called as mutation, which again is a very important highlight of this chapter. If the genes are dominant and it is shown recessive, do not express. Yes. And if it is not, then of course it's not going to test the environment in that form, no? So that is the reason the entire species of, the genetic impairment or what we are studying is being distributed and channelized in this way. Khalsa. Khalsa, what's your name? Yeah. I'm saying Khalsa, Khalsa. Please give me a name so that I can call you with that name, beta. So any queries and questions still here before we move to the next one? We are almost on the verge of completing the chapter, by the way. Yes. No doubts. Mutation is basically, beta, in biology, mutation can be explained, which is an alteration, okay, in the nucleotide system of the DNA. Okay, now why it is important? Because in a sequence, mutation can result in DNA coping mistakes, okay, and mistakes which are made during the cell division. Okay, so right from exploring to ionizing radiations, or you can say exposure of chemicals which are called the mutagens, or the infection by the viruses, that leads to the mutation, which is a very, very important part. COVID, yes, actually, yes. I told you mutation definition right now. Mutation is basically a change in the DNA sequence. And mutations can result in DNA which can be coping mistakes, which can be the spread of cell division, exploring of ionizing the same in terms of radiation, in terms of exposure of the chemicals, which are called as the mutagens, okay, or which is caused by an infection or a virus. For example, COVID, absolutely correct. Urmi ma'am, my name is Akash. Fantastic, Akash. This is better. Akash, wonderful answers, yeah, beta. I'm impressed. Hi, Prachi. Good evening. Welcome. Shreya, okay? All right. Chalo. Fantastic. Let's move ahead now. Now, moving to the cultural basis. Okay. Socio-cultural shaping of behavior. Now, after reading everything about the biological processes, we need to also understand the idea of our behavior is dependent on the hormones. Okay. Now, hormones and the reflexive responses, whatever is happening around us, that plays a very important role here, because we are discussing about regulating human physiology. Okay, they do not completely control the humans, they do not completely control the human behavior. Similarly, the stereotypes, fixed pattern, okay, which is the most disgusting feature of a reflex, does not appear with the human responses. Stereotype is a fixed pattern that you're already thinking about things. You already have made up an assumption. You already are taking, you're already going to think in like that format or that way. Okay, that's basically the point which I'm trying to tell you. Wait, let me take the highlighter. Okay, that basically I'm trying to tell you here in hormones. And we are trying to speak about stereotypes, which is a fixed pattern. Okay, which is the most distinguishing feature of a reflex which does not appear with the human responses. That plays a very important role. We can draw examples from several domains of our life that we argue that behavior is complex than the behavior of animals. And why? Because our thought process functions in a different way, not like the animals. Animals have few requirements, such as hunger. Okay, but we have more requirements: the biological, social, economical. Nucleotide changes in the ATGC pattern, yes. Okay, which is common among the animals and which is the human beings, and that's basically hunger. So human beings, major reason for this complexity is like, unlike animals, human beings have a culture to regulate their behavior. Now let us consider the basic need of hunger. Hunger is there in us, hunger is there in them also. Okay, yes, the theory was developed by Lev Senomden and we are in the 1930s. Very good. Okay, so we know that this has a biological basis, which is common among the animals and the human beings. We need to know why, because they also feel hungry, we are also hungry. This is something which we do in terms of a living. Okay, we need to survive our lives. So for example, some people eat vegetarian food, some people eat non-vegetarian food. However, they have become vegetarians and non-vegetarians. Some takes eggs, sometimes they do not. Now that is the reason this process has become very complex. And what is complex process here? Even the hunger which we are distributing, what we are talking about, even the hunger has become a process which is very, very complicated and which is very, very complex. This takes us to, why is it so? Because people behave in a different way when they eat. I like veg, you might like non-veg. So we are going to explore. I like eating with hands, maybe you like eating with forks or spoons. So this is a human tendency. They all try to behave in a different way in regards to whatever thought process they have. This is the way we eat. Okay, so this is about our eating places, eating orders, or the way we eat, the way we have food, fork, spoon, hand, whatever we like to eat, choices, preferences. Next is our sexual behavior. This can be taken as another example. Why? Because this is a behavior which involves hormones and reflexive actions. Okay, ma'am, how does the culture affect social behavior? Shreya, culture affects our social behavior absolutely. When you're going, imagine you are in India, tomorrow you go for your studies in Canada. Okay, now whatever the people in Canada are doing, you will exactly have to be like them. You cannot do your Indianness there. They will not accept it. They have a different segment, the way they function in their culture. So you have to behave, you have to adapt it, and that is going to affect your social behavior, the way you are living, the way you are behaving, the way you are speaking with people. Okay, the way you are eating, the way you're drinking, all these things are coming under social behavior. So culture plays an important role. Today everything is shut down. Are you able to go and party with your friends? You're not able to do that because you're not supposed to do. The people have clearly told that other than your important work, you are still not supposed to go out. And why? Because of the COVID-19 thing. It's a major effect which we all are facing. It's a cultural effect only, no, which is actually coming on our life and social behavior. So that's the reason this is very, very important in order to define. Culture is a practice and way of living, and stereotypes and affect the behavior and the biological functioning. Absolutely, yes. That is what it is showing. That whatever way you are living, your living style, standard of living, people with whom you eat, people whom you are with, it involves and includes a lot of continuous process of change. And this is the change which we are discussing here. Now these examples, okay, basically illustrate the biological factors which alone cannot help us very much in understanding the human behavior. Okay, because the nature of human beings is very different from provided by us, by biological scientists, and it is very different the way we look at things and the way we look at certain situations and analysis of the same is done by us in different ways. Please remember, human nature has evolved through an interplay of biological and cultural forces. And these forces have made us similar in many ways and different in others. Now, can you give me an example that why do you get affected by, social, what do you call, why does your social behavior get affected with the culture around you? Can you guys please give an example to this? I would like to know. Why does your behavior change as per the culture? Shreya, Akash, everybody. Ria, come on. Ma'am, where do you live? I basically am from Bangalore, Akash, but right now I'm in Goa with my parents' house, so I might go back to Bangalore soon. Ria says because we need to adapt according to our society, the society we live in. Ria, that's a fantastic answer. I'm waiting for these two people to answer and the others also. Come on. Akash. Ria has given the answer. How about the others? How is your behavior being changed in the place where you're living in because of the culture? What is the example? Ria has given a fantastic answer where she's saying that because we need to adapt according to the society we live in. Ma'am, I don't know the example. Can you please tell? Shreya, wherever you're staying, if today you're supposed to be in a place where you're not able to go out, you have to adapt to it. Because this is what we are trying to speak about. This is the kind of factors, biological, economical, social, anything, we have to adapt. Ma'am, even I live in Bangalore, hope to meet you soon. Okay, Amin. Exactly the way Ria has answered, it's the perfect answer of explaining that your social behavior or the concept of adapting the same has to be as reflexive as what we are doing in our socio-economic lives. We really can't do anything. We have to process the entire thing the way our standard of life is, in whatever sense we are expected to do things, and why is it important. That's simple. The entire process of change, club it into performing different opinions, different strategies, different ways, XYZ. That takes us to the concept of culture. Now, your question, Shreya, that what exactly and why exactly are we supposed to study culture? What exactly is culture? And why is it important? Let's see what Akash has written. Societal acceptance and social behavior with fellow mates, and sometimes just an open mindset, or even adjusting to surroundings to get maximum benefit. Actually, yes, every single point here is about the benefit. Okay, that's very, very important. And I'll tell you why. Because the way we look at things, whatever is happening around us, if we don't settle down, we don't change, we don't try to accept what is happening, then it will be having very huge and diverse effects of what we are trying to do, okay, including ourselves, which we cannot do. So this influence of our behavior, even if we are not aware of it, we still need to process and follow the same thing. And that's the beauty of culture. Imagine today you're moving out of your country and going somewhere else, okay, you actually have to behave like them, you have to eat what they give. You can't go there and say, oh, I want chuda, I want chakli, I want mithai. There is a trend of burgers and pizzas and pastries. You have to go and deal with it, or you completely take your food from here and cook by yourself, but you still have to adapt to the culture. So culture in the simplest terms is basically referring to the man-made part of the environment, not the God-gifted thing. Okay, whatever is happening around us, it's all man-made. Whatever we are bringing it to. Correct, correct. Clothing, societal norms, and fear of missing out. Correct. Okay, I understood FOMO. I'm also current generation, so I know what a FOMO is, Akash. Darwin's theory of survival for the fittest and fittest only adapt. Yes, sociology, class 11. Darwin's theory of the survival of the fittest. Okay, so very important is we basically have to adapt to whatever is happening around us, either materialistic or not, but we have to be a major part of the acceptance and the change process. Okay, now these products can be material objects. I told you, tools and sculptures, ideas, categories, norms and values. For example, family. Now family comes in a place where it is about your informal institution, and society plays a very important role when it comes to formal institutions. School, because you go to school, you meet people that interact there, that is an interactive place of sociology and society. That comes under another institution, which is formal institution, meeting people, interacting with them, etc., etc. Now we find them almost everywhere. They influence behavior, although we not be always about aware about it. Sometimes culture comes inheritedly, naturally. Sometimes we have to define things and do certain things in certain way, reach there, acknowledge the differences, etc. So now you have to understand that there is different sort of examples which come under the cultural product. School, I told you that most of the people who are even poor, no, they want their students and their kids to go in a good school where they come across better people, better students, and they be better human beings, because your specific human behavior or social behavior is the way you behave, the way you live with people, the way you are observing others, and it affects your personality. So that is the reason cultural products schooling plays a very important role. So you actually ask people who are not even able to afford a schooling like this, will also want their kids to go in this school. Why? Because they know they're good friends, they're good people. These people will be with them, learn to speak language like them, learn to speak fluently like them, study well, evaluate with the best certificates, do something in a better way, etc., etc. So people have different opinions in different ways, but people with special needs, also need to get across school or education, because that's also valuable and important for them, no matter how they are getting it. But everybody wishes and wants to widely be under this, where they need to get cultural products and they crave for it. People with special needs often remain deprived of school education for a number of reasons. Why? Parents do not want them to go out. Parents think that, okay, everybody is going to say, ma'am, I don't know sociology, I'm an entrepreneurship student. That's great. So are you not attending my entrepreneurship class, beta? Christmas trees can be considered ceremonial cultural objects. Yes. History, psychology, entrepreneurship, economics. Fantastic. Oh, so you are asking for class 11th entrepreneurship. I thought business arithmetic you're saying because it's class 12th. Social institutions like Christian missionaries fool everyone and buy religious followers. See, we can't say fool because now we have to, that it completely depends on their community, their cultural biases, what is important. Being a Hindu, being a Muslim, being a Christian doesn't mean that we can have the right angle or right way of associating their culture in different segments or different ways. Our expression towards their community or religion should be as respectful as ours is for our community or respectful towards them, whatever group we belong to. Okay, so please remember, people views about communities, gender, caste, group with special needs, all these things also differ widely across society. Whatever I might have a feeling with, maybe my family will not have the same amount of thought process. No ma'am, we did business arithmetic in class in 11th, cash flow break even points. Yes, 11th I haven't started yet, beta. Class 12th I have already started taking it. 11th I'm going to launch very soon. I'm going to launch the course, and you can go in the classroom and join my classes on Unacademy learning app. There's a link for class 11th Telegram. Join it, and whenever we have the class, I'm going to inform there, and you can join it from their link. Okay, so you will get all the updates from the Telegram channel. So now let's move ahead from people's views about communities, caste, groups, all these things. People always show that what is the importance of culture and why it plays about. Now, as you look around, okay, there are many human beings who are near us. Okay, some people are close to us, some people are not. Some people are belonging to different cultural, some people are different belonging to our culture. Several anthropologists have pointed out mutual